Safety Administration, and the Ad Council.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Resolve to recycle more. Recycle paper, bottles, and cans directly, and recycle old clothes by donating them. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing? Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Make the switch to green soaps and personal products, and green cleaning products for the sink and shower. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Good morning!
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come
on! Oh, yes. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to this wonderful Wednesday morning here in San Francisco, the Bay Area, Greenland, Mexico, East Coast, New York, LA, Chicago, wherever you're listening, whether it's on the Odyssey app, whether it's on YouTube. Hello, welcome in. Love to have you. And we have an awful lot to get into today. And there's an awful lot happening at the station today. Just a huge day at 95.7 The Game. Cannot wait to listen to all these special interviews happening starting at 8 o'clock. John Lynch, general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, he is joining Bonte and Shasky. That's 8 o'clock. Cannot wait for that. And what has been, honestly, the greatest year as a general manager the 49ers have had in quite some time. Like, John Lynch is the executive of the year. It's not even close. That move to get Christian McCaffrey, and now they're seeing Brock Purdy and what he's been able to do. But specifically, Christian McCaffrey and making that trade changed everything for this offense, and it changed the narrative surrounding this team. You know, after Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, you're like, okay, well, we can get to the playoffs. Maybe something could happen. We'll see if Jimmy's healthy, if Purdy can win a game or something like that. Well, he's been winning a lot. He hasn't lost yet. 6 straight games for Brock Purdy. And Christian McCaffrey's a major part of that. So John Lynch, the guy, the architect surrounding the trade for Christian McCaffrey, the guy who will get all the credit for Brock Purdy drafting Mr. Irrelevant when he did. We'll hear about that process, what that was like, and his thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys who come to Levi Stadium this Sunday. Once again, 3:30 Pacific time. It's the last game on the slate. It's just going to be a hell of a weekend in the NFL. This is the weekend. I know Wild Card Weekend is fun for a lot of people, but this is when the nitty-gritty starts. This is when you separate the men from the boys. It's divisional round weekend. This is the one where you say, okay, I'm saying it that right now. This week, there will be one blowout this weekend that'll make you go, wow, okay. This is it. Whether that's Jacksonville and Kansas City, New York, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Buffalo, or San Francisco, Dallas. I believe one team is going to get blown out this weekend. Is that going to happen this Sunday at Levi Stadium? Cowboys, they think they've improved, right? From last year, not a lot of penalties against the Bucs, whereas juxtapose that at home last year against the 49ers in the wild card round. You had, 12 penalties, something ridiculous for Mike McCarthy in that squad, and it was just laughable. How they were even in the game still was just a testament to the 49ers being sloppy. I don't expect that to happen this Sunday at Levi Stadium. I think they are much more buttoned up. They are much more healthy. They have a better quarterback this time around. And I think the 49ers, ultimately, once it's all said and done, advance. But like I said earlier, John Lynch, he's joining the boys the morning roast, 8 o'clock. Cannot wait. It's just a huge day here at 95.7 The Game. Huge day. As I vamp and pull up the list of guests, because I know there are just so many of them. Man, we got John Lynch, 8 o'clock. 1 o'clock, Bob Myers, because it is a Warriors Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, and you know what that means. It's brought to you by Friedman's Appliance, a trusted name since 1922. Visit friedmansappliance.com today. Shout out Friedman's. So you got John Lynch 8, Bob Myers 1, Justin Smith, you know him, you love him, the former All-Pro, 49ers defensive end, beast. You remember the Smith bros, Justin Smith and Alden Smith, what they were able to do, wreak havoc. He joins Damon and Ratto at 3:30. And at 4 o'clock, Steve Kerr, and 5 o'clock, Michael Irvin. Are you kidding me? You kidding me with all these names? John Lynch, Bob Myers, Michael Irvin, Steve Kerr, Justin Smith. It's a hell of a day. It's a hell of a day. So download that Odyssey app. Favorite 95.7 The Game. And by the way, the Odyssey app, you can download that. There's thousands of other stations. Millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. You know, sports talk, music, news, podcasts are all available completely free. Follow your favorite teams, stations, radio shows, podcast, all by that downloading that Odyssey app. You can catch every Warriors game live on the app, along with all the music and news the Bay Area needs. Warriors, they were at the White House yesterday. Stephen Curry giving a speech. You had President Biden, Vice President Harris making their speeches. Vice President Harris, obviously from Oakland, California, so she was excited. So that was a pretty cool moment. Shout out Whitley Sandretto, our digital extraordinaire, social extraordinaire. She does all the dirty work behind the scenes to make all the magic happen. Doesn't get nearly the credit that she deserves. So shout out Whitley for making the trip there, getting all that. That was awesome to see. Really cool stuff. Steph Curry at the White House. So we'll hear from Steph. We'll hear from President Biden. Just a really cool scene. And sticking on that presidential theme, I thought I had a little fun. It's the pregame show. We don't really do a lot of poll questions because, well, it's not a lot of poll questions to be had at 5 a.m. People are waking up still. They're like, I don't want to answer a question, Joe. It's too much. Let me have my coffee first. And I get it. And just a fun little question I wanted to toss out there. Hey, you're the president, sports president. All right, we're not going deep into enemy lines. We're not going all this super serious. This is sports right here, okay? You have an executive order to change one rule in sports. And this is in honor of the Warriors heading over to the White House yesterday. You have an executive order. You're the sports president. You could change one rule in sports. What would it be? Let me know at 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. YouTube, let me know. The one rule that I hate, and I don't know if enough people hate it, it's the fumbling out of the end zone when you're on offense, and then it goes to the and then it goes to the other team, and they get the ball in offense. I hate that. It's the worst. Why is it when every other time you fumble the ball forward, when you're on offense, it's dead right there, and it goes out of bounds? It's from where you fumbled it. You can't advance a forward fumble when you're on offense. It just goes, okay, if it goes out of bounds, it's just where you initially started that fumble. It goes back there. So why is it when I'm at the goal line and I'm making the effort to score a touchdown, I get penalized for that? I think that's weak. So let me know, in honor of the Warriors visiting the White House, your sports executive order, if you can change one rule in sports, any sport, doesn't matter, what would that be? 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. We'll hear from Steph. We'll hear from Biden a little bit later. But right now, it's Cowboys week. It's rivalry week. And it's interesting. I'm 29, right? So I was just a little baby when the whole Cowboys-Niners rivalry thing was really happening in the 90s with the Aikmans, Deion Sanders, Steve Young, Michael Irvin, all those guys. Like, I was just a kid. So I'm kind of wondering, as I was growing up, like, you keep hearing about this rivalry, and I'm not really seeing it. Like, these two teams don't like each other. I know the colors clash, and that's really cool. Two iconic brands in the NFC, Dallas, San Francisco, the red versus the blue. It's just perfect. It's perfect. You got the narrative that, oh, this West Coast, and they don't really care about sports and football. They're fair weather. Oh, we're in Texas. This is football. This is our life over here. Like, there's that whole narrative, which is totally untrue. West Coast love our football. I can tell by my audience right now. Love you guys. We all love our football here on the West Coast. Maybe we treat it and act a little bit differently, but we're passionate. Turn it on at 6 o'clock daily and you'll hear straight red and gold passion from Bonta Hill and Joe Shasky. Once again, John Lynch joining the guys at 8 o'clock today. So, this rivalry, I couldn't quite understand it until last season when they finally have met in the playoffs for the first time in over 30 years it was. And that fan base of the Dallas Cowboys and that whole compilation you saw at the end of the game, all the tears, all the sadness, all the flipping the bird to Trent Williams as he laughs in the Cowboys fans' face. You saw the Cowboys fans throwing stuff, Dak calling out the fans for being trashy, pun intended, because they were throwing trash. I finally got a good glimpse of what that was like in the 90s and the hatred there. Now, obviously, there wasn't a Hall of Fame. It was Jimmy Garoppolo versus Dak Prescott. That's a far cry from Steve Young versus Troy Aikman, but it was a high-stakes game. It's the playoffs, and this is where rivalries are made. You don't make rivalries in the regular season. That doesn't really happen much. It has to have meaning to the end. So maybe, if there's a division on the line, I think of, the Padres and Giants. It's okay, there's a little bit of a rivalry there, but they haven't really played anything high stakes other than 2010 when they had to beat them to win the division, and there was a collapse. So there's a little bit one, but you think of, the Raiders-Steelers in the 70s. Two teams that aren't in the same division, but they played in so many big games in the playoffs that were hard-hitting and just physical and dirty, malicious, whatever you want to say. That turned into a rivalry, which has gone on till today. Hell, they had the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Deception and RIP Franco Harris, and they had that game this year, and it still mattered, even though the teams weren't very good. So you don't have to be in the same division to have a rivalry, but games are going to have to matter at some point, right? Games are going to have to matter. So Niners, Cowboys, it's going to be renewed this Sunday at Levi's Stadium. And I want to hear from you, Niners fans, at 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. What does the Cowboys rivalry mean to you? Is it still prominent? Because for me growing up, for most of my life watching the Niners, I would just think it's the Seahawks. And you are kind of on this path if you're looking towards the Super Bowl, defeating all these rivals on the way. It started with Pete Carroll and that gum chewing. Hell, it started in the regular season when you whooped the Rams' ass. Started there, and you do that all the time in the regular season. Kyle McVay just owns... Did I just say Kyle McVay? Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay in the regular season. And I'm sure beating him badly those two games this regular season meant an awful lot after what he did to them in the NFC Championship game. So he handled his business there. Then you get to the playoffs. You sweep the division. Don't even miss me with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. Cliff having fun in Thailand, no doubt. Mai Tais for everyone. See the woman he's been with? I don't think Cliff is doing too bad out there in Thailand after getting axed. So he handles his business in the division. Then you see your old friend, Pete Carroll, who's kind of had major ownage on you in the division since you've been up here. Don't get it twisted. Pete Carroll's just owned the NFC West for this past decade pretty much. Save for maybe a blip from Bruce Arians, but it's been the Seahawks. But Russell Wilson wasn't there to save you this time, Pete. He wasn't there. You had Geno Smith. That's a little different. We have scars from Russell Wilson. We don't have scars from Geno Smith. We did write back to Geno, and it was a letter L. And that's what we served to him. So you exercise those demons against Pete. The guys owned you. Now it's the Dallas Cowboys at home at Levi's Stadium. Were the Cowboys sneakily undefeated at Levi's? I think I saw that right. 2-0. Never lost at Levi's Stadium. So that'll be fun. Exercise those demons of the past in the 90s. Even though you did beat them at Jerry's World last year in Texas. And then another rival potentially you could see in the NFC Championship in the past. And it felt like the Niners were just rivals with the entire NFC East now that I'm looking back. Because the NFC East back in the 80s and 90s, they just dominated. They dominated. And it was NFC East and then the 49ers. That was it. So they have a potential to go up against the Eagles or the Giants in the NFC Championship if they get past the Cowboys. So it's revenge tour season. Ghost of football past getting exercised. And it's exciting. It's absolutely exciting. Tim Kalishaw joined Damon and Rado yesterday. You know Tim Kalishaw. You've seen him on Around the Horn. He's been covering Dallas sports for years, decades. He's the best to do it out in Dallas. And he was asked what Dallas does consistently well. And here's his answer.
They had breakdowns in really everything, every way you measure a team. The running game has still gone to pot, and it was okay last night. Zeke's half dead, but Pollard's pretty good and looked better last night. The passing game obviously was tremendous last night, but that hasn't been the case week after week. But they're mostly good against good teams. I think they did a lot of sleepwalking against Houston and Indianapolis and then Washington, and that's not really excusable. But they knew where they were going, and they knew they realistically weren't going to catch the Eagles. They rushed the passer well, as you said, Parsons, every week. Now, some teams make that somewhat irrelevant by running the hell out of the ball, and that's something the 49ers will try to do and can do, and it's something Tampa Bay can't even come close to doing, and that made a miserable night for Brady. But other than the pass rush, that's the only thing they do consistently well.
And that's going to be the key then. If that's the only thing they do consistently well, they're going to need to get consistent pressure on Brock Purdy. Because if you give Brock Purdy time to throw, Kyle Shanahan's going to scheme the guys open. Purdy's going to find him, and there is nothing in the past that's shown that he can't. Shout out to YouTube chat. You guys are on fire. Luigi, my paisan, you're 29. You look older. You need some sleep and good food in your life. Luigi, if that even is your real name. Come on, bud. I eat great. And thank you, Ernie, for having my back. Ernie Chavez on the chat. Spadoni eats well. He's Italian. And I thought fellow paisan Luigi Buscemi. Are you Steve Buscemi's cousin, Luigi? Hanging out here on the YouTube chat. Thanks for saying I look older. I always thought I looked younger than I was, but someone saying I look older, I appreciate that. Thank you. Now that I'm getting older, maybe I shouldn't appreciate that. I don't know. But yes, I do need some sleep. But you know what? When you have 2 kids and you have to get up at 3:50, you got to cut it to 6.5 hours, 7 hours sometimes. It happens. It's the grind. It's the grind. But I appreciate you listening, Luigi. Shout out to you. And your executive order, sports legal change, so you can change any rule in sports. I'm allowing that for this show only. You, the listener, what's your one rule that you want to change in sports? It's an executive order in honor of the Warriors visiting the White House. And Luigi said palming would be legal. Make it the and one league. All right. Yeah, sure. Just no dribbling, right? Just keep running and then just make it super physical. Just basketball meets football in a way. That's interesting. Mr. DK on the YouTube chat. I'm declaring the day after the Super Bowl a national holiday. Love that. I would love that. Although if my favorite team won it, I want to come on the next day and still talk about it. But who am I kidding? Holidays here at 95.7 The Game don't exist. We go on air. We go on air. Other than maybe Christmas, but in that, all the guys working the Warriors game because the Warriors are going to be on Christmas for a long time. They are a national brand now. So shout out all the guys that do come here on Christmas. Sterling, JD, all you guys. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I appreciate you declaring the day after the Super Bowl a national holiday, but it wouldn't be here on 95.7 The Game. We would be talking on the radio. Okay. Joseph Correa definitely looks older than 29. All right, I get it. I need sleep, guys. I get it. I get it. Who would you take, Debo or DK Metcalf? Ooh, DK Metcalf. Yeah, I would take DK over Debo. In this offense, I'm taking Debo, Kyle Shanahan. I don't think DK does what Debo does in this offense. But if I'm just looking at skill set wise, route running ability, speed, height, high pointing the ball, and Debo's a great high pointing at the ball. Don't get me wrong. He's got great hands when he needs to have great hands. But DK, I think, is a whole nother physical specimen. Guy's a beast. I would take him. But in this offense and Kyle Shanahan, I think Debo does just fine. Brandon on the YouTube chat, looking at the schedule, 49ers parade could be on Valentine's Day. Boy, that's tough. Man, yeah, honey, I'd love to take you. We got a parade, and then that's just a lot. Then we got dinner. Yeah, I think we can go to the parade. Isn't that a fun Valentine's Day? Better hope your girl's into sports. That's all I'm saying. Or your man, your significant other, what have you. You better hope that. Because that could be a mess. Could be. It's going to test some relationships if the 49ers have a parade on Valentine's Day. That is absolutely true. Here's more from Tim Kalishaw, who joined Damon and Ratto yesterday. He was asked, how does Dallas even win this game?
Dak has to have probably a 300-yard game. I don't think the Cowboys will run consistently. I think Pollard will have a couple decent runs against the 49ers. They're not going to do anything consistently, but I think they will try to make more plays down the field, and whether it's making plays against Ward or whatever, they will try to open things up, and that's probably how they're going to have to do it and get, I'd say, 2 interceptions or 2 turnovers from the 49er offense.
And I think that was the recipe I had for the Seahawks last week. You got to win the turnover battle. And they didn't. Like, Brock Purdy's just, listen, he was shaking the first half. He threw some interceptable balls that were just out of the reach of some Seahawks. But you thought, like, that first half, he's waiting to throw one. And you knew it was coming, Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock, for the most part, he's been pretty solid. He'll have the occasional, like, what are you doing? Think of the Amik Robertson interception on George Kittle against the Raiders. But for the most part, Brock's done a great job just controlling. No fumbles either from anyone. So the pass rush is going to be key if they can get to Brock and if Brock can hold on to the ball. But I don't see any other way that the Cowboys really win this game because again, it goes back to what I was saying yesterday. I don't think the Cowboys can stop the 49ers consistently on offense. I just don't see it. I don't see them hanging with the 49ers on offense. The Dallas Cowboys will get theirs. Don't get it twisted. They will get theirs. They will score over 21 points. I am fairly confident in that. But I think the Niners are still going 30 on this Cowboys defense. 30 plus. Now, that changes if Micah Parsons can get home consistently. But it's hard to do against Brock Purdy, who is slippery like an eel. So it's going to be a fun matchup to watch all week. Then on the flip side, Nick Bosa against that Dallas Cowboys O-line, which has been a lot better this year. Top 5 O-line in the league. Will they get consistent pressure? Bosa was pretty quiet. No one wants to say it. He was quiet last week against the Seahawks. He did have the fumble recovery after Amena who had the strip sack, but he was quiet. We're going to need a big Bosa performance this time around against the Dallas Cowboys. And it was interesting looking back to the game last year in the divisional round in Dallas. Bosa got a concussion, and he was out for that second half, if I'm not mistaken. And they still whooped their ass. Ebukam was getting there consistently. So you're looking at Armstead, you're looking at Omenahu, you're looking at all these guys in the defense. Get some pressure. Get Dak uncomfortable, and he will throw interceptions. I am confident in getting pressure on Dak. He will throw some interceptions. He will. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570, Xfinity mobile text line. So, we're talking executive orders. You change one rule in sports. What would it be? In honor of the Warriors visiting the White House. 408, ineligible man downfield is the worst penalty in sports. Should not be a flag for a lineman being 5 yards downfield. That one's a little interesting to me, too, because I could see it's an unfair advantage when you have a guy already all the way down there blocking way down the field before the ball's even released. You have to have a little leeway there. But I feel you that it is an annoying penalty when it doesn't really have an effect on the play in the long term. It's just like he threw a deep bomb nowhere near this guy, and this guy was just down the field 5 yards. He didn't even do anything. He wasn't around anyone. Again, I understand the logic of it, but it is frustrating when it's called back after a huge play. That is one of the more frustrating penalties in the league. I still think fumbling out of the end zone is stupid. I hate it. Nowhere else on the field when you fumble forward out of bounds does it advance, but only in the end zone? That's dumb. Hate that. 707, automatic 15 yards for pass interference instead of ball spot. Okay. I'm not mad at that. The college rule. I think a lot of people lately have been into that. But you know what? That's not fair in hindsight to the wide receiver. Like, let's say, for example, Brandon Ayuk is already way down there for 50 yards down the field, and Purdy loads one up, and Diggs pulls him down. Like, and it was clear that he was going to get this ball. Like, that's not fair to Ayuk in his stat line. Like, I think absolutely, we've talked about this on the Morning Roast with Bonte and Chasky, and Baldy thinks the same thing, Brian Baldinger. Give the yardage that would have been to Ayuk. Just give it to him on that penalty. Give it to him on his whole stat line. That matters. That absolutely matters in the long term when you got incentives based on that and stuff like that. So I see what you're trying to say because it does flip the game so much, but it is a college rule for a reason. And it is a strategic, it would become more of a strategic thing in the NFL, I believe, if you were having bombs all the time and then all these guys would just be grabbing them down they'd be pulling their jerseys, tugging at them, what have you, because they just don't want them to score. It's like, oh, I could deal with the 15-yard penalty. That's fine. That's fine. I think there should be a harsher penalty, and I think ball spot still is okay. But let me hear more of you guys on the YouTube chat at 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Executive sports orders. What rule would you like to change? One rule, any sport, what would it be? And we're going to be hearing from Steph Curry, who joined Joe Biden, President Biden, at the White House yesterday. We'll hear from him. The Warriors. It was a cool moment there. Again, shout out Whitley Sandretto for making the trip for 95.7 The Game, representing us there. Really cool. So we'll hear from that on the other side. Plus more from Tim Kalishaw. Brian Baldinger joined the boys yesterday. He had some interesting thoughts on how Purdy continues to impress. The Cowboys, how they've improved since last year. And a place where Brock Purdy may be able to exploit. We'll get into that on the other side. 888-957-9570. You guys are awesome. 888-957-9570. This is the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Hall of Famer and 49ers GM John Lynch joins the Morning Roast today at 8.
Brock earned his way on our roster, and every step of the way he's kind of checked the box. So it was practice, then it was preseason games, and then it was regular season practices, and then he goes in these games the last couple weeks and really has handled himself well, and we're very fortunate to have him.
John Lynch, this morning at 8 a.m., right here on 95.7 The Game.
There's a reason Golden State has become the trusted partner for professional builders and contractors. The breadth of what they offer is remarkable. Their product knowledge can save you time. They're the largest distributor in NorCal of many of the brands they carry. Golden State's newly refreshed app offers installation guides, building codes, and much more. And the GSTV link on their homepage is a useful resource. Family owned for 3 generations. Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. That's true when your business is growing fast, and even more true when there's a lot of uncertainty. Inflation is running rampant, supply chains are clogged, and the labor market is tight. What does that mean for margins? But not every business is in the dark. Over 30,000 businesses know their numbers because they use NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, planning, budgeting, and of course inventory, so you can manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need, all in one place. In 2023, profit is the new growth. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your manual business process, and see where to save money. Know your numbers. Know your business, and get to know how NetSuite can be the source of truth for your entire company. Right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/radar right now. netsuite.com/radar. netsuite.com/radar.
Shop limited time deals at the Truckload event at Lowe's, happening now. Save big on your favorites across the store. During this event, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories. Plus, find the perfect floor tile for your home for less. Get up to 50% off select styles while you can. Head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowes.com to shop the Truckload event today. Valid 12/29 through 1/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowes.com for details. Discount taken at time of purchase.
Welcome back to Earth, folks. We hope you enjoyed your 8.5 minutes in orbit.
Technology lets you vacation in space, but to get work done on Earth, you need more than technology. You need CDW to design and manage a Cisco hybrid work solution that delivers the same secure network experience to all your satellite offices. And with consistent connectivity that empowers your team, they can collaborate from any space.
And no, you can't keep the helmet.
Cisco makes hybrid work possible. CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/Cisco.
When you order food for work on EasyCater.com, we've got your back. Real humans are here to help with your order every step of the way, making sure everything goes right, even behind the scenes without you knowing. Confirming and double confirming with the restaurant that everything is on track. If there's a problem,
thanks for calling EasyCater.
Call us anytime, day or night, and we'll answer in seconds. We're right here with 100,000 restaurants, working hard to ensure the food arrives on time and is ordered. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Now, back to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. We're going to hear from Steph Curry, who joined President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the whole Warriors squad from last season as they brought the Larry O'Brien Trophy to Washington, D.C. and the White House. So we'll hear from Steph in a second. The Warriors, and it is a Warriors Wednesday, by the way, brought to you by Friedman's Appliance, a trusted name since 1922. Visit friedmansappliance.com today. And the Warriors, they'll be taking on the Boston Celtics in a finals rematch tomorrow in Boston. We'll have all the coverage there starting at 3:30 with Warriors Live. John Dickinson will get you all started there before tossing it over to the great Tim Roy, who'll be on the call. So Warriors Celtics tomorrow. Cannot wait for that. Still breaking down, previewing the highly anticipated matchup this Sunday at Levi's Stadium between the Cowboys and Niners. We're taking executive orders. What one rule at 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570 on the YouTube chat. One rule in sports that you can change. Let me hear it. You have one executive order and you can change one rule in sports. What would it be? In honor of the Warriors visiting the White House, 888-957-9570. Sam Lubman, producer extraordinaire of The Morning Roast, Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys. I know he's itching to talk some baseball coming up here soon. Pitchers and catchers next month. But Sam, I was like, Sam, what's your executive order? He's like, I want coaches to wear suits again. I was like, you know what? That is one thing out of the bubble that I hated, is that they just have all this leisure wear now for the coaches. There is something, looking back at the Phil Jacksons, the Pat Rileys, all those guys back in the 80s and the 90s, rocking the suits. It looked fresh. Who's the dude with the hair with the Sixers, the coach in the 80s? Coach the Dream Team. Help me out, text line. He had the beautiful hair. He had the suit. He had everything, the cigars. But there is something about a nice suit. In the NFL, it used to be like that all the time, too, the suits. Now you see guys, and I love it, the Brian Dabolls with just the kind of like the golf jacket, the little windbreaker. So good. The polos with the visors, though, miss me with that. Maybe I'm just scarred because too many former Raider coaches in the past wore visors and they all stunk. Still have one, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. Steph Curry. Here's what he had to say at the White House yesterday.
We are a team. We do it together. And to be able to celebrate our championship together with you here, it means a lot to bring that trophy here. It means a lot. I think we were here 7 years ago for our first championship. So to have another opportunity to be here means the world. We had a connection, obviously, with your former boss, President Obama, with his Chicago ties and watching Coach Kerr and celebrating championships there. But there is a connection to you. I know you grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and that's 2 hours away from Philly, which is where the Warriors organization began. In 1946, we won our first championship. So 46 has a nice ring within with you as a 46 president. So that is a great connection there. And then obviously Vice President Harris representing Oakland, representing the Bay Area the way that we do every time we step foot in the court, which you'll be able to do here in D.C. means the world. So you are, I know, a huge fan, and you're loud with it too, and we love that. So we appreciate you. Keep doing. No, that's we love that spirit, and we want to continue to make you proud with everything that we do. And again, for us to be here, to find the common synergies within what we do on the court and what we represent, and when it comes to providing hope, inspiration, belief to everybody that watches us play, that's what you do in your roles leading our country, and to continue to do exactly what you said, do things together. Continue to preach that message. That's what we're all about, and obviously in the pursuit of winning championships and doing amazing things. We brought some gifts for you. We have 2 jerseys, a number 46 and a number 49 that we would love to have you a part of Dub Nation forever, and maybe find it maybe on the wall in the Oval Office or in your office. That would be, we'll come back. Hopefully we'll be able to come back and check and see if it's up there, but I want to say again, thank you for letting us be here to celebrate, and for our families, our staff, everybody here on the stage. It means the world, and hopefully this isn't the last time. So thank you.
Very presidential from the great Steph Curry, who, again, the Warriors joined the White House yesterday. They got to be celebrated. They brought the Larry O'Brien there, owner, Joe Lacob, Peter Guber, Bob Meyer, Steve Kerr. Everyone was there. It was just a really cool scene. And again, shout out Whitley Sandretto, 95.7 The Game, for making the trek over there. And here's President Biden congratulating the team.
Congratulations to Team Loader, Peter and Joe. Congratulations to the staff and coaches and fans, and most especially to the incredible players standing behind me. Today, the Golden State Warriors are known as one of the most successful franchises in basketball and all of sport. And 4 NBA titles, 6 finals, and in the last 8 seasons. That ain't bad, man. That ain't bad. The stat line of a dynasty. But the last couple of years are pretty tough. We struggled in 2020, missed the playoffs in 21, and critics wondered if this team was gone for good as a championship team. But fellas, I know what it feels like. I've been there. My dad used to say, Joe, get up. Just get up and never give up. But you never gave up, and you always believed.
Cool scene there. Again, that was President Biden talking to the team and Steph addressing them. Listen, if Steph ran for office, I have a feeling he might get a lot of votes. Just saying. Don't sleep on Steph Curry in the presidential scene. I wouldn't be mad at him. Don't be mad at Steph being a little president. The way he speaks, like he is such a face of a franchise now, and I think it gets taken for granted when guys like Steph or LeBron or what have you, Tom Brady, just like the way these guys talk to the media and just such, it almost has to be political, right? You don't think about it that way, but they have to watch every single thing they say because, again, and it doesn't matter anyways because social media is just such a scrum and a cesspool and everyone's just going to be taking down everything you say. And, oh, by the way, Chuck Daly, thank you. Going back to the suits guy, Coach Chuck Daly for the Dream Team. That was the guy with the hair, all the nice suits. Thank you. Texan, you're the best. But it's hard being an athlete in today's age, way more than it was in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. A microscope is so fine, and it is kind of like a political game. And Steph Curry plays it well. You saw how charming he was. You heard how charming he was. He's just the gold standard, the Golden State Warriors standard, if you want to get even more specific, to what you want the face of a franchise to be. It's that guy. Family man, you know, he gives a lot to the community. He's funny. He does everything. Stephen Curry is the guy. He's our guy here in the Bay, and you love to see it. You love to see it. So, cool moment there, the White House yesterday and the Golden State Warriors. And they will be playing the Boston Celtics tomorrow in Boston. Again, Warriors Live tomorrow at 3:30 JD. We'll have all that for you here, right here on 95.7 The Game. You can listen to all of it for the finals preview. And just knowing the Warriors, they're going to win that game. They're struggling on the road, although they've won 2 of their last 3 on the road now. Big comeback win against the Wizards. My brother randomly was at that game. He's like, just sent me a picture. He's like, oh, yeah, I watched Steph Curry and watching. I was like, oh, yeah, you live in Virginia. I always forget all those D.C., Virginia, they're all kind of like right in Maryland, all whatever. They're all like right near each other. So, yeah, cool. He said Steph Curry caught on fire. That's what you need. And it's probably what we'll get tomorrow because the Warriors, when it looks like they've taken 2 steps back, they'll take a giant leap forward and beat one of the best teams in the league. So can't wait for that matchup tomorrow again, Warriors and Celtics. Cowboys-Niners, though, another rivalry, big rivalry, taking place again this Sunday at Levi's Stadium. And we were talking about it, what makes it a rivalry. And Jason on the YouTube chat had a good comment. Spadoni, you hit it on the head. I don't hate these Cowboys like I did the Aikman teams. I have scars from those teams. I do not have scars with this version yet. Let's hope you don't get a scar this time, right? Right now it's so good. You're 1-0 against the Dak Prescott-led Dallas Cowboys. And I have a good feeling it's going to be 2-0 at the end of this Sunday. And we'll talk about more of that on the other side. Hear more from Tim Kalishaw, Brian Baldinger. He had some thoughts on how Brock Purdy can exploit this defense. So we'll hear more from that. One more segment. Joe Shasky will join me for a few minutes. Bonte and Shasky. John Lynch joining the morning roast today. General manager of the San Francisco 49ers. Should be executive of the year, in my opinion. So he'll be joining them at 8 o'clock. Morning roast, John Lynch. Cannot wait for that. Just an action-packed day. Bob Myers. He'll be joining Steiny and Goot today at 1 o'clock. Steve Kerr, Michael Irvin, Justin Smith, all those guys joining Damon and Rado today. Just an awful lot going on right here on 95.7 The Game. So come on back. Joe Shasky joining me next, right here on the pregame show, 95.7 The Game.
It's a Warriors Wednesday on 95.7 The Game. Warriors GM Bob Myers joins Steiny and Guru at 1.
Probably good for me in the job I'm in to not get too emotional, which is just more my nature. But what you have to exercise and you learn is patience.
And head coach Steve Kerr joins Damon and Rado at 4.
He's the modern MJ. Now half the crowd's got blue and yellow 30 jerseys. It's just Steph. He transcends the game.
This is the Bay Area's sports station, 95.7 The Game.
Are you ready to boost your game at work, explode with energy at the gym, and really hit one out of the park in the bedroom? Balanced Medical Solutions has your back with the best solutions for ED, PE, weight gain, and chronic fatigue. Join thousands of Bay Area men who have said goodbye to low testosterone, low energy, and low libido who now feel like world champs. Mention this station until the end of the month to get a medical evaluation with labs, including hormone tests, for only $69. Call today and get a win. 510-679-3300 or visit balancedmedicalsolutions.com.
So, the other day, I bought an extremely chatty...
Boring story time!
Make that an extremely catty cockatoo.
You're welcome!
Apparently, the pet store won't take it back. But hey, I'll manage.
I love that for you.
Just like I manage without home internet.
No, you don't.
Sure, my mobile hotspot is slow and makes streaming shows unbearable.
Oh, Bertie likes to stream.
But I'm making do. Oh no, who's this?
My lady friend. It's mating season, duh.
No home internet? It's not that bad. No, not there.
It is that bad. Don't settle. Get Xfinity Home Internet for just $19.99 a month for 1 year with a free streaming box. Call, click, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. After 12 months, regular rates apply. Offer ends 2/21/23.
Every week, Damon and Reto go inside the 49ers locker room.
The great Trent Williams.
He's always been regarded as one of the better backs in the NFL, but to actually have him and see him up close and personal, you kind of see why his reputation is what it is.
Hear a different 49er each week on Damon and Reto.
Bang, bang, Heineken!
Brought to you by Harris Ranch Beef. Visit your local Rayleigh's, Bel Air, and Nob Hill markets for all your beef and tailgate needs.
Oh, it's doing great. I've been on it now for about 3.5 years. I've lost 67 pounds, and I feel better than I did at age 40. The only thing I'm just getting older. That's the only thing that doesn't stop. Other than that, I feel good.
Listen, we're all getting older, but that doesn't mean you have to feel your age. Are you ready to turn back the clock? It's 2023, and there's never been a better time to start looking and feeling young again. Introducing Andro400.com. Andro400.com has proven solutions to melt belly fat, increase mood and memory, increase energy, and bring that spark back to your love life. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435 to see which product is right for you. Try the safe and natural way to start feeling and looking your best. And there's nothing to lose with an industry-leading 90-day money-back guarantee. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's. So thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FRIEND at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FRIEND. Enjoy.
Now, back to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Pre-game show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. One more segment for you before handing it over to Vontae Hill and Joe Shasky. They got general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, John Lynch, joining them at 8 o'clock. Cannot wait for that. Just a fascinating season for the 49ers. And John Lynch, the architect behind most of it, if you're going to be honest. He should be executive of the year for the Christian McCaffrey deal alone. But now the other one that's coming to emergence lately, as Joe Shasky joins me now, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Was he in on that? Was it, I'm hearing it was Brian Greasy was one of the guys that was like Shanahan, Lynch, you guys got to drop this guy. Like just so many interesting layers to this season, and I cannot wait for that interview.
Yeah, I'm pretty fired up to talk to John Lynch. He's
got a lot of charisma, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And what he's done in terms of legitimizing the team, I think people, there's some distance between where we were and where we are as a fan base. Think about where we were with Trent Baalke getting blown out, Chip Kelly, Tom Sula. Nobody wanted the job. Leaks everywhere. I mean, the Super Mario Brothers didn't have enough wrenches to try to fix this situation in terms of the leakage. And, all they've done, and they've missed a lot. That's the crazy thing. We act like they've batted 1,000. They're not even close to that.
No.
I mean, even if I said to you, Joe, they're not even at 50% on their hits, like in terms of acquisitions, which I would argue in the NFL, 50%, you're like all-time great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You just think of Solomon Thomas, bust, right?
Reuben Foster,
major bust.
I mean,
like all the running backs that I can't even name, just down the list that you drafted early that you don't even need.
Jerick McKinnon,
who's
Malcolm Smith.
Yeah. Like there's an awful lot of them.
I mean, I could still make the argument, and people can sit here and listen to it like they blew the Buckner trade.
Yeah.
They blew the Tom Brady thing. Like, there's a lot of different things, if you were a cynic, that you can go through and poke holes in, or just an average fan. And yet here they are. And you look at them, you're like, God, they have the best roster of anyone. Now, you can make an argument, quarterback changes everything, and, blah, 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 blah. Take the quarterback away. Okay, and I know it's the most important position, so I'm not denying that. Every other position, name me a team with more loaded talent, top to bottom,
and not just the talent, the youth on the talent.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like you can find talent. You saw it with like the Bucs the last couple of years, and you saw it all come to fruition. They were an older team, very talented, but then 2 years down the road, now you're seeing it now. They're done. They're going to blow that up. The Niners, I'm looking down 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5 years, maybe.
I know.
Like you just look at the talent and youth, and listen, it's. You say week to week league, it's a year to year league. Someone can get hurt.
Sure.
Something could happen. A trade you don't see coming. Someone's disgruntled. So stuff can happen all the time. We see it all the time. But as it stands right now, to your point, there is no other roster I would take over the San Francisco 49ers.
No.
Like Patrick Mahomes withstanding, because he's just that guy. But just Brock Purdy, what he's been able to do has been pretty unbelievable.
Well, and there's no doubt. It's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. The thing that I'm not trying to play like the cautionary tale. It's just, I know how fickle Niner fans are, and I know how fickle the NFL is. You could be great today, and then you have 1 5-minute stretch that totally changes everyone's opinion of you moving forward. Think about, again, let's just go back just for this team. Think about where we were coming off that Super Bowl. All right, where you lost. Jimmy was really good for 3 quarters.
Yes.
And then the 4th quarter hit, and you lost to Patrick Mahomes, which, zoom out, not the worst thing in the world.
No.
Not the last guy who's lost to Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's amazing. But the way that they lost, half the fan base was like, I want to ride with Jimmy. He's my franchise quarterback. The other half of the people were like, get me someone else.
Yes. No.
1 bad quarter.
Yeah. It's the name of the game for the San Francisco 49ers. Like this franchise is pretty unbelievable. You've been a Niners fan your entire life.
Am I tripping?
Just on the outside looking in. No, you're not. The position for this team, the San Francisco 49ers quarterback position, is the most scrutinized position maybe in sports. Well, other than being the number 4 hitter for the New York Yankees.
Yes.
It's the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. And maybe it's not as vastly known because it's the East Coast bias, what have you. But here on the West Coast, that is going to be scrutinized. And Brock Purdy, if he's the guy, he will be scrutinized more than any other quarterback. It's just how it has to be. It's the most important position on the field.
Let's go back before him. Like, obviously, there's the Kaepernick thing. Rode them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then they lose. In the way that they lose, people lost their minds.
Coming all the way back I don't think they would have lost their minds, by the way, not to cut you off, but because they came all the way back just to lose at the end, it was just heartbreaking.
They should have lost that game, by 20, to be honest.
The power doesn't go out, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they should have lost that game by 20. But, what do people go to? Oh, the fade. How could you do that? Before him, Alex Smith outdueled. Now, I think they should have scored 60 in that game because they had 5 turnovers. Yeah. Outdueled Drew Brees when he was Drew Brees, and Jimmy Graham and that team with Marcus Colston. That team was loaded with Sproles. Remember how good that team was?
Was it Lance Thomas was another one? Yeah,
the team was ridiculous.
So stacked.
Okay.
So stacked.
Had the greatest 6 minutes of his career. Ran for a touchdown from 25 yards out. And then, with less than a minute to go, threw an 80-yard pass, even though it was a 25-yard out, and then Vernon ran upfield. Put this team in a position where he could throw the Vernon post. 1 week later, he completed 2 passes in the first half, and we were ready to run him out of town.
Yeah. No, it's just the nature of the beast, and the way that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have been able to steer this season. Again, I don't think there's anyone else in the league that can win executive of the year over John Lynch. I'm just trying to think about it. Like who? Like maybe the Eagles. Like was it Howie Roseman? Right? Like maybe him because of all the. But even then. Like, you just look at, and do they take draft picks into account? Like, do they do that?
Should.
They should, absolutely, right? Because I know, like what else is there? Like, trades? Like,
yeah.
But CMC
when Balky won it, it was because of, no one had Aldon Smith in the top 10 in their board.
Okay.
And then he obviously had like a 14 or 15 sack season his rookie year.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. Obviously, he signed Carlos Rogers and Dante Whitner. Like, there were other acquisitions.
Yeah.
But he got credit for all their draft picks.
Exactly. And Brock Purdy alone, I don't know if he is the offensive rookie of the year, but he's going to be right up there with Kenneth Walker, whoever, the Wilson, Olave, all those guys. But what he's been able to do, and him and Kyle Shanahan's symmetry, and let's be honest, there's been a lot of talk about Kyle Shanahan. He's the head guy. Mm-hmm. He makes all the decisions. Mm-hmm. And we all know that. But John Lynch, he's no dummy.
No.
This guy went to Stanford. He knows about players. He knows about relationships, player personnel, and that's come on full stage this season, I believe. I think it's time to give John Lynch some roses.
No doubt.
We all want to give him to Kyle Shanahan, and rightly so, but John deserves some credit too.
This thing could have gone off the path how many different times?
Oh, well, first off with Lance, it could have been off the path. Could have gone off the path, to be honest, Chasky, when Jimmy Garoppolo was still lingering around in the offseason. He wasn't getting traded.
I mean,
people
were just talking about this year. I'm talking about the last couple years.
Well, exactly. All I'm talking about before the season started is like, why is Jimmy still on this freaking team? Like, the surgery, like, that was the big drama. It's like, oh, God, Jimmy's back. Trey, like, is his team, and then he gets hurt. It's like, oh my God, are we ever going to have a quarterback in the future? Then Jimmy gets Chris McCaffrey. Oh, Jimmy's playing well now. Oh, this is good. Oh, Saints game. Oh, he's out for the year. Well, let's see what we have with Brock Purdy. Maybe we'll go to the playoffs and we can win a game here or there. Oh, maybe we have something here in Brock Purdy.
Yes.
So every single time they stub their toe, they get some Neosporin on it, put a Band-Aid on it, and it's like it's nothing happened.
I know.
Like, it's pretty... And that's a credit to John Lynch. Like, that's wild to me.
Being a 49er fan, as
season's nuts. It's
as
just
great
crazy.
as it's been in my life, it's also been insane. And so, like, that's why when I hear people, and I listened to Mark yesterday for quite some time, but when I hear people compare us to, like, the Chicago Bears wish they had a 2-year run that Harbaugh had, and he had a 3-year run. But, like, they would pray to the football gods for one of those runs. We've had multiple of those runs in just the last 10 years.
Lovie Smith is one of the greatest coaches in their franchise.
Jay Cutler might be their best quarterback of all time.
Yes. And then that's no knock on Jay Cutler, but just comparing to all the other, just comparing to Aaron Rodgers in his own division, it's just like, or Brett Favre when he was with the Vikings. Then it's just like, dude, like it's very difficult to find a quarterback in this league. The Bears, to your point, Trubisky, just go through all the names. I mean, and then the Niners seemingly this last decade, 3 different quarterbacks, like that could potentially get you to the Super Bowl. Like, that's nuts to me.
It is. It really is. But like, my bigger thing is like, for this organization, and I would say like others, it is so hard to do comparative shopping on the fan base's psyche.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like a Laker fan psyche versus, a Grizzly fan psyche. Like,
totally different.
Totally different. So, like, to me, like, when I hear people like try to make comparisons, well, Cincinnati thinks they've got a quarterback and they're all in. It's like, yeah, Cincinnati's been wandering the desert since Boomer Esiason left. They've got 2 quarterbacks in the history of their organization. Yes. Ken Anderson and Boomer Esiason.
Yes. John Kitna? Carson Palmer. No, Carson Palmer.
But you get where I'm going.
Carson Palmer for a second.
But you get where I'm going.
Yes,
And look, the Niners' existence is a weird one. Raider fans, for example. Yes. There are Raider fans out there. Derek Carr is one of the greatest quarterbacks in their lifetime.
Yes, he statistically might be the best ever.
And I'm not knocking that. What I'm saying is that through their prism, like, everything that they view is through, Derek's the best that I've seen.
But to your point, I grew up, I watched Rich Gannon.
There you go.
I put that on the pedestal.
Exactly.
He is not Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon won an MVP, took a team to the playoffs.
See?
Took a team to the Super Bowl.
And that's why I think the Niner prism when it comes to quarterbacks is just so weird. I mean, I admit it, and I'm at the front of the fan base. I've told people I fell for Sean Hill, I fell for Troy Smith, I fell for all these different guys, and again, I know this particular feels different, is different, whatever. I just watched about a 25-minute breakdown called The Quarterback School, and it's JT O'Sullivan, and
he's great. Yeah.
He does a really, really, really good job, and I thought he was kid glove-ish on some of the things in the first half, because if you watch that first half back, and it's now been a couple of weeks now in the first half, Brock Purdy has gotten really lucky with some of these throws. There's been some zone, he calls it rob or thief, where the linebacker sits down and he can, jump into the lane for the slant. You guys know where the Niners love to hit that slant on the inside. a couple of plays don't go their way. Now they're chasing a touchdown or two. Now, you could say, Joe, that happens in any game, at any time, any place, for sure. I'm just saying, like, they've gotten lucky, and Brock Purdy, has made the most of those second opportunities and bounced back and looked phenomenal in the second half. I look at, like, the Trevor Lawrence situation, what he did. 3-4 turnovers in the first half to bounce back with 4 turnovers in the second half. That's rare.
Yes. That's not an accident. Now, every great comeback has to have with a terrible choke job, and the Chargers did that. But at the same time, they scored on every single possession after that. Every single one when they were getting stymied. So
I don't think we appreciate, like, right now, we have no feel for, like, that was one of the all-time great comebacks, and we can't even, like, quantify how incredible that was.
It was so I was telling Jade that. God bless.
Am I tripping?
No, you're not. God bless Jade. And maybe this is because the industry you're in with our significant others. I was like, this is one of the greatest playoff comebacks ever. She's like, every week it's one of the greatest comebacks ever. I was like, it's because it's the NFL.
It's the league.
It's the league. And she's like, I don't care. We're taking the kid to sleep. I was like, okay, fair enough. But to your point, it's how crazy last weekend was. And this is the weekend, as we get out of here, this is the weekend that separates the men from the boys.
100%.
There's going to be a game this weekend where a team gets blown out, and there's going to be a team, and hell, it might be the Jaguars, and it might be the Chiefs doing it. It's like, oh, man, that's the team right there. Like, there's always that happens during the divisional round where there's just one team that separates themselves, I feel like, and it's just like they put it might be the Chiefs, it might be the Bills. Bills had a stinker last week, it might be the Bengals. Who knows? Hell, it might be the Giants with an upset. It's like, oh my goodness. So this is the weekend for me that is so fascinating and so fun, and I can't wait to watch it. Joe Shasky, you're going to have general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, John Lynch, you and Bonte at 8 o'clock. Cannot wait for that. That's coming up next. This was the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.